Hope everybody can hear me. Let's see. Why? Here we go. Here we go. Good. All right, guys. Welcome into 4th and 25 with Jram. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're staying dry. We've had some rain recently, which for us in Mississippi, it's good because we've been in a drought recently here. It's been very much needed. But anyway, welcome aboard. We've got a loaded show today. Got a lot we're going to talk about, a lot to get into in the world, in the wild, wacky, and getting even crazier world of college football. So we're going to get started with something we've been doing the last couple of weeks. I've been doing some early preseason rankings as far as players by position by the Power Four leagues. We've done head coaches, we've done the quarterbacks and running backs. As far as the big SEC and the Big Ten go. In the ACC, we've done coaches and quarterbacks. So this week, we'll hit running backs and we're going to hit wide receivers in the ACC and Big 12. So we're going to get started. Let's roll with the running backs. I think there's a potential for some good ones this year in the Big 12. We'll start with my one to watch. This is a transfer, of course. He's coming into the University of Houston. McKee Hughes, he's coming from Oregon, and also he was at Tulane for a while, so now he's I think he's a Louisiana kid, so he's coming back close to home by being at the University of Houston. This is an old shot of when he played for Tulane. When he was at Tulane, though, for 2 years in 2023 and 2024, he did really well, running for 2,779 yards. 1,400 of those yards were in 2024 alone, and averaged 5.3 a carry when he was there, scored 22 touchdowns, 15 of those in 2024, caught a couple of scores. So his real big season was the 2024 year when he ran for over 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns. So he'll bring a nice little element to Willie Fritz's offense there, as he's known for running the ball, and he's a good back to fit that system. So he'll be interesting to watch for the Cougars this coming fall. All right. So at number 5, this one I struggled with, but I decided to set him here because he does have flashes of being really, really good. Kind of ironic, he's played for both schools in this state. But anyway, at number 5 is Dylan Edwards at Kansas. This is when he was at Kansas State. He also played at Colorado briefly. When he was with the Buffs, he scored one score. He had 321 yards rushing, a score. He also caught 4 touchdowns. I don't know if he was in a special package or if he was just a good receiver for the Buffaloes when he was there. And then he's been at Kansas State the last couple of years, rushing for 751 and 7 touchdowns. Solid speed back. Not a very tall guy, but very quick. Kind of ironic, though, going from Kansas State to arch rival Kansas. So, but in this day and age, are we really shocked? No, we're not. All right. Number 4. Let's head to Lubbock with Texas Tech and Mr. Cameron Dickey. He's number 4 on my list coming into 2026 out of the Big 12. Last year he ran for over 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns. Has over 1,300 his career, 15 scores. Also 3 touchdowns receptions. Of course, the question now is who's going to be his quarterback? Is it going to be Brendan Sorsby giving him the ball, or is it going to be somebody else? We'll have to wait and see on that. But still a really good running back and should be one of the best ones in the Big 12 come this fall. He's my number 4. Number 3, keeping it in the transfer guys, a young man who has made his way to Morgantown, and that is Cam Cook. He is at West Virginia now. This is when he was at Jacksonville State in this old graphic. Should fit Rich Rod's offense really, really well. He was at TCU for a couple of years too, 2023 and 2024. Didn't 518 during his time in Fort Worth. He had 9 touchdowns, scored all 9 of those during the 2024 campaign. And then last year, in his 1 year at Jacksonville State, he tore it up big time for the Gamecocks. He ran for 1,659 yards last season and 16 touchdowns. Average 5.6 a carry. I think he might have been the Conference USA Player of the Year. I'm not 100% sure, but over 1,600 yards, 5.6 a carry, and 16 touchdowns. He's my number 3 back as far as preseason goes in the Big 12. And at number 2, another transfer, is Caleb Hawkins. He is on his way. He's at wrong photo. He's at Oklahoma State. He is a transfer from North Texas, like the 35 other players that left North Texas and followed Eric Morris to Oklahoma State. Just a second. I'm trying to share the video. Sorry about that. Make sure we're working good here. Yeah, there we go. All right, let me share this real quick. Sorry I didn't do that a minute ago. Here we go. There we go. All right, Caleb Hawkins at North Texas. He was a North Texas transfer. He's on his way to Oklahoma State. He's only a sophomore. His 1 year at UNT was absolutely phenomenal last year. This young man, run for 1,434 yards. He found the end zone 25 times. Led the country, I think, in rushing touchdowns. He also 370 receiving. He could catch the ball, 4 touchdowns. So he had 29 total touchdowns and close to 1,800 yards of offensive yards when he was with the Mean Green. But he's at Stillwater now with Eric Morris and Drew Mestemaker and how many ever other North Texas players transferred to Oklahoma State. So he's my number 2 running back. And finally, my number 1 back for the Big 12 entering this year as far as Big 12 running backs, Mr. L.J. Martin at BYU. This young man's been there since 2023. He has over 2,500 yards in his career, 5.1 a carry, 23 touchdowns, also 4 touchdown catches. In 2025 alone, he ran for 1,305 yards, and he found the end zone 12 times for the Cougars, who are more of a run-based offense now. So I expect another big year from this cat. I think he's the best back in the Big 12 as far as currently entering when we get to the fall. L.J. Martin at BYU. All right, so here's a quick rundown of that list one last time. Oop, that's the receivers. That's not it. Here we are. All right, one last look at the Big 12 running backs list. One to watch, McKee Hughes at Houston. I've got Dylan Edwards at Kansas at 5th. Cameron Dickey at Texas Tech is 4. Cam Cook at West Virginia 3. Caleb Hawkins 2 from Oklahoma State. L.J. Martin at BYU checks in at number 1. All right, so let's see. We're going to stay in the Big 12 for this next one. Let's do our wide receiver rooms. And we'll do our wide receiver rooms for you. Let me get the list up here. Okay. Big 12 receivers to watch this fall. So I'm going to start with my 1 to watch. This is a young cat down at UCF, Dwayne Thomas Jr. He was a Charlotte transfer. He played at Charlotte in 2023 and 2024. Didn't do much, 307 yards, a touchdown. Transferred to UCF last season, had over 500 yards receiving. 528. Look for more out of him and Scott Frost offense this fall, along with the transfer QB Alonzo Barnett. He could have a big year and move up the ranks as far as best receivers in the conference. At number 5, let's head back to Kansas State. Here is Jrams Tibbs. He was at Purdue for a couple of years where he had 300 yards receiving, 347, 2 scores. And then last year at Kansas State, his first year with the Cats, had 595 receiving, 12.7 a catch, and he found the end zone 5 times. So he's my number 5 receiver for the Big 12 entering the season. Moving to number 4, we'll head over to Lubbock and Texas Tech to this cat. Here is Coy Eakin. He's my number 4 receiver entering the year from the Big 12. He's been at Lubbock since 2023. Has 133 catches, over 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns. He's caught 13 of those in the last 2 years. 12.7 yards a catch, back-to-back 600-plus yards receiving. He'll be a good weapon for, if it's not Brendan Sorsby, whoever the new quarterback is, depending on what happens with that situation. But Coy Eakin's my number 4 receiver. At number 3, let's head to Fort Worth. And a cat who really caught my attention in the Alamo Bowl last year, Jordan Dyer at TCU. He was at Idaho in the FCS for 3 years, 2022 to 2024. Had over 100-plus catches, 1,600 yards, 1,600-plus. In 2024, when he was with Idaho, he had 1,192 yards, averaged 14.5 a catch, and he caught 18 touchdowns while he was with the Vandals. And then last year, his first year in Fort Worth, he had 54 catches for 730 yards, average basically 13.5 a catch, and he caught 7 touchdowns for the Frogs. Um, really good football player. I like him. We'll see how he gels with their new quarterback as well. Jordan Dyer's my number 3 receiver in the Big 12. Moving to number 2, transfer, Wyatt Young. He's at Oklahoma State now. Another of the 45 players, I think, that left North Texas to go to Oklahoma State with Eric Morris. In 2 years with North Texas, he had 88 catches, over 1,500 plus yards. Had 1,264 just last year alone, which is phenomenal. 17.2 a catch. He averaged 18.1 yards a catch last season alone. That's crazy. 12 touchdowns in his career, 10 of those last season. He's also found the end zone a couple times running the ball. But really, really good receiver. Like his hands, like his work. And the fact that he went with his quarterback, his running back, his head coach, and several others to a new team. We'll see how it goes in Stillwater, but it should be explosive. Wyatt Young's my number 2 Big 12 receiver. And at number 1, we'll keep it in H-Town. Amari Thomas at Houston. I'd look for this cat to really take the Big 12 by storm this season. And 2 years before that, though, at UAB from 2023 and 2024, he had over 115 catches in 2 years with the Blazers. Had over 1,100 yards, averaged 10 a catch, and he caught 11 touchdowns. Actually had 1,107 total. But really good run with UAB. And then last year, his first year with the Cougars in Houston, 67 catches, 966, 12 touchdowns, average 14.4 a catch. Connor Wigman will be very happy to have him back this fall, I'm sure. But he's my number 1 receiver for the Big 12 entering the season. And we'll pull this list up real quick for you. There it is. 1 to watch, Dwayne Thompson Jr. at UCF. Kansas State's Jaron Tibbs is my number 5. I've got Coy Eakin at Texas Tech checking in at number 4. Jordan Dyer at TCU is number 3. Wyatt Young at Oklahoma State, number 2. And Amari Thomas of Houston is number 1. All right. So let's move over to the ACC, and we will start with the running back room at the ACC. Oh, crap, I just realized something. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and do receivers. We'll do receivers. We'll do running backs last. Here are my top ACC receivers entering the 2026 season when we get to the fall. So, 1 to watch. I dug a little deep for this one, but I think this young man's got some potential. He didn't do too bad, and he hasn't done too bad since he's been at Wake Forest. Keep an eye on Carlos Hernandez. He's been there since 2023 for the Deacons. Has 95 catches in his career, 1,266 in yards. He had 611 just last season. He averages 12.9 a catch. He's caught 8 touchdowns. He led the team in touchdown catches last year. Made the decision to come back for Jake Dickard. Good handler with the football. So whoever their quarterback is will be probably very happy to have him. Carlos Hernandez checks out my 1 to watch for. All right, number 5. Let's go to another transfer who's in Virginia Tech, who's going to be on the field for James Franklin and the Hokies. Keyshawn Brown, he comes over from Duke. Where at 2 years at Duke, he had 105 catches. He caught 64 balls for the Blue Devils last season. 1,291 yards, 846 of those yards were last season. 12 yards a catch. Last year, he averaged 13.2 for the Blue Devils and 7 touchdowns. Was a good offensive option for Darren Benson Duke last year in their ACC championship season. But now he left town, and he is with Virginia Tech. Keyshawn Brown. All right, number 4. Did you think we were going to do this without a Clemson player? Of course. Number 4, TJ Moore at Clemson. He is back. He's been with the Tigers for 2 years. Really good leader. My understanding had a great spring also. 97 catches, 1,488 receiving yards, 837 of those alone in 2025. Average 15.3 yards a catch, 16.1 last season, 9 touchdowns. Very well respected, well liked in the locker room. Really good player and very well liked. 1,488 yards in 2 years, 837 last year, 15.3 a catch, 9 touchdowns. Whoever their quarterback is, they'll be, of course, very thankful to have him. TJ Moore checks in at number 4. Okay, so number 3 is actually 2 guys. It's a duo. at one school. One of these, I want to say that he's cleared eligibility-wise, but I'm not 100% sure. So if he is not eligible to play, just exclude this. But at number 3, we've got a duo from Cal. We've got Jacob DeJesus, or however you say his name. It's spelled like Jesus, but I'm just going to say it like that. He and his teammate, Tran Grizel, here he is. This is a very formidable duo, and I can't remember their quarterback's name. I said him last couple weeks ago, but they'll have a really good passing attack with these three. In 2 years at UNLV, Jesus had 96 catches for 1118, 5 touchdowns. And then last year, he had a really good year for the Golden Bears, where he caught 108 balls for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, 9.5 per catch. And then Grizzle, who's been at Cal for a few years, he's been there since 2023. This will be his 3rd year with the Golden Bears. He has 121 catches for over 1,700 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a 14.7 yards per catch. So pretty good little duo to have there for their quarterback, who's supposed to be pretty good too. I've already talked about him on our QB rankings. Oh, excuse me. At number 2, maybe one of the bright spots at Florida State this fall, Deuce Robertson, a really good receiver. He's a former USC Trojan. For 2 years at SC, he had 39 catches for 747, 7 touchdowns, averaged 19.5 per catch when he was in LA for 2023 and 2024. And then last year, his first year at Florida State, he had 53 catches, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 19.3 yards per catch. Florida State recently named Ashton Daniels their new starting quarterback, so he'll have this cat to get the football to, as Florida State faces what many believe could be a difficult season. Deuce Robertson is my number 2. And then finally, my number 1 receiver, we head over to the Big 12. To the Big 12. We head over to Miami. I'm an idiot. I am so sorry. We've got a duo from Miami. We've got Cooper Burkade. He comes from Duke. He has obviously had a great year at Duke last season, but he also was an FCS stud at Harvard. He had 113 catches in 3 years with Harvard, over 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, a rushing score, 15.1 yards per catch. And then last year, of course, his 1 season with Duke, he had a really good year with 72 catches, over 1,100 yards, averaged 15.4 a catch, and 7 touchdowns. In helping lead Duke to the ACC championship, had a phenomenal year. And then his teammate, let me find his graphic. I thought I had his graphic up here, his image for us. All right, let's try it one more time if it'll let me. Yep, here it is. And his teammate, of course, who I think will be the best receiver in the ACC, that's Malachi Toney of Miami also. He's been at Miami for 1 year, had a phenomenal first year, 109 catches, 1,200 yards, 11.1 a catch, 12-11 actually, caught 10 touchdowns, found a rushing touchdown. So he's only a sophomore, I want to say. But yeah, he's my number 1 receiver in the ACC, along with his teammate Barcade entering the year. So we got a duo there. All right, one last check. Here's the ACC receivers list for you. We got Carlos Hernandez at Wake as my 1 to watch. We got Virginia Tech's Keyshawn Brown at number 5. TJ Moore of Clemson at 4. Jacob DeJesus and Tran Grizel, the Cal duo, checks in at 3rd. Deuce Robertson at Florida State is 2. And then number 1, we got Malachi Toney and Cooper Barcade of Miami. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, and we come back, we'll do our ACC running backs. I got to upload their graphics real quick. So see you guys in just a second. Alright, so y'all hang tight with me. I'm having a little trouble here. Cannot believe I did not do that. That is my fault. Alright, let's take one more quick break.
To hate, Andrew Anderson stating truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast, like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. I rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me. Unleashing the truth, setting it all free. Unleashing the truth.
Alright, hopefully I'm back on. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, that's alright. Make sure I've got my audio. Hopefully we're good. Alright guys, welcome back to 4th and 25. Sorry about that little technical issue. That's my fault. Alright, let's get our stuff on the road with our ACC running backs list. Hopefully y'all can still hear me okay. All right, so one to watch in the ACC. We got a transfer here. This is Evan Dickens. He's coming by Boston College. He was at Liberty. Had a really good run with Liberty last season. He also had a little. He also played at Georgia Tech sparingly in 2023 and 2024. Didn't run the ball much there, but then last year he really broke onto the scene when he was with the Flames at Liberty. He ran for 1,339 yards last season, 5.8 a carry, 16 touchdowns. And he also caught a score. Worked in Jamie Chadwell's spread option offense really, really well. Should be a great addition to BC's offense in the fall. All right, checking at number 5, another transfer. Here is Justice Haynes of Georgia Tech. He's been at Alabama, where in 2 years he ran for 616 and 9 touchdowns, averaged 6 yards a carry for the Jackets. And then last season he played at Michigan, where he ran for 857 and 10 touchdowns, averaged 7 yards a carry. I was actually kind of shocked to see him hit the portal. I really thought he might would stay in Ann Arbor another year, but on his way to Georgia Tech, maybe he wants to be the guy, and he will definitely be the guy as far as leading the backfield goes for Georgia Tech. At number 4, we're going to stay in the transfer world. We've got Quintavion Wisner of Florida State. He is a Texas transfer, as you can tell. This is when he was with Texas. He's been at Texas the last 3 years. He ran for over 1,700 yards, 1734. As a matter of fact, he had over 1,000 in 2024, 5.1 a carry, 9 touchdowns, and a couple of receiving touchdowns. Bent was pretty effective, was very usable at Texas, but now he's at Florida State and he gets to be the guy as expected. So at number 3, we've got Nate Shepard at Duke, one of the few players that stayed at Duke, it seems like, after their ACC title season. Had a really good year, 1,132 yards last year, 5.7 a carry, 11 touchdowns, caught a touchdown. He'll be the focal point of Duke's offense in 2026 as they look to defend their ACC title. Number 2, don't have a graphic for him. I would go get one, but I'm not going to waste any more of y'all's time. Number 2 is Isaac Brown at Louisville. Y'all probably seen this young man. He's been at Louisville for 2 years, over 2,000 yards. He had 1173 last in 2024. Kind of backslid a little bit last year, but still a really effective player. 7.9 a carry, think he was banged up a little bit too, but 18 touchdowns. 2024 was really the come out party at 1173 and 11 scores, but 7 touchdowns last season. He'll definitely be a focal point and a leader for the Cardinals in 2026. And then finally, number 1, no surprise that it's Malachi Tony Jr. Mark Fletcher Jr. at Miami. He's my number 1 ACC running back entering the season. He's been at Miami since 2023. Has over 2,313 yards rushing. Last year he ran for 1192, 5.2 a carry. He's found the end zone 26 times in his career, 12 last season. Caught a couple of scores, 2 to be exact. Should definitely see some carries again in the fall, and along with the transfer QB, the receiver room, and what should be a very good Miami offense in 2026. All right, so here you go. Top ACC running backs for 2026. We've got one to watch is Evan Dickens at BC. Justice Haynes at Georgia Tech is 5th. I put Wisner at Florida State at 4. Nate Shepard, Duke, my 3rd. Isaac Brown at Louisville at 2. And then, of course, number 1, Mark Fletcher Jr. of the Miami Hurricanes. All right, so we're going to take another quick break. I'm going to get some stuff up here, and when we come back, we'll move to our next segment. We're going to talk about this Brendan Sorsby mess, and then we'll do our schedule looks in Conference USA and the Sun Belt. So we will see you guys here in just a minute.
It's on time, you can get to work by 9 and start your slaving job to get your pay. If you ever get annoyed, look at me, I'm self-employed. I love to work at nothing all day, and we've been taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way, we've been taking care of business. It's all mine. Taking care of business, and I've been working overtime. Work out.
Oh, goodness. All right. Where did the other ones go? All right. Y'all bear with me. Bear with me. All right. So, here we go. Trying to get these up real quick, y'all. I do apologize. Hopefully we don't have no trouble. I'll talk a little bit about this Brendan Sorsby situation, and then we'll get into scheduling talk here in just a minute. Almost done. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. All right, there we go, finally. All right, so let's get started. Some news that's really rocked the sport and really college athletics this week. Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby decides to take a leave of absence from the program and enters gambling rehab. Oh boy. So, yeah, he was one of their top returning players, is checking into a residential treatment program for a gambling addiction. The school announced on this past Monday. His decision to seek treatment, according to sources, came in the wake of the discovery. Sorsby made thousands of online bets on variety sports via a gambling app, which jeopardizes his eligibility with Texas Tech. Yes, it does. This could drastically change the season outlook on the Red Raiders. The NCAA is investigating the gambling, according to sources. The organization forbids athletes from betting on college and pro sports while they're there. Texas Tech, in a statement, said they are committed to supporting him through the recovery process to ensure his long-term health and well-being. Apparently, when he was playing in Indiana as a freshman in 2022, he bet on the team. He betted on some of their games, a season in which he played a single game as a reserve. Bets were on him to win games, and none came in a game in which he appeared. His gambling has not drawn the attention of law enforcement, according to sources. Let's see. Sorsby's gambling has not drawn the attention of law enforcement. There's no timetable for his treatment, as sources say that his situation is being treated as a mental health matter, and he will be afforded all the time he needs. Joey McGuire, Texas Tech's coach, said, "We love Brendan and support his decision to seek help. Taking this step requires courage, and our primary focus on him as a person. Our program is behind him as he prioritizes his health. All right. He's projected as one of the highest paid players in the sport. He was reported to have made more than $5 million this year with Texas Tech. He transferred from Cincinnati, where I believe he made $1 million there. As for his on-field future, the NCAA has a strict policy against any type of gambling by athletes on intercollegiate, amateur, or pro athletics competition. Violators are ineligible for competition subject to appeal. Any gambling case would involve investigating. Let's see. Betting on Indiana football on the roster looms as a significant obstacle for him to return. So just kind of a few more little odds and ends on the whole situation. Okay, so just my 2 cent opinion. When you've got a billion-dollar industry, when you've got all this advertisement, DraftKings, Prize Picks, all that stuff, when they're advertising this on TV everywhere around these games, college kids are going to bet. You mean to tell me you think the athletes aren't going to bet when their friends and people around them, the same age group, are doing it? Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's not the only one that's doing this or has done it. There's probably going to be more cases like this. It's out of control. I knew when gambling and sports betting started appearing everywhere in sports, I had a bad feeling this stuff was going to happen. So, wish them all the best. But Texas Tech's season could change drastically, the whole outlook on their season. Now, as far as potential quarterback, let me see. I had it. Let me find it here real quick. Let's see. I had it up here. Let's see who could potentially be the replacement. Let me see. I had it up here. Let's see. That. All right. Now the backup quarterback is. I was gonna try to find his name real quick, but I can't remember who. I can't find it. Anyway, his backup quarterback's not bad. He played some last year and threw a couple of scores, but he's not Brendan Sorsby. So, Texas Tech season could be drastically changed because of this whole situation. All right, but we wish them all the best, and I don't know. When you let all these gambling and sports betting and everything get involved, I had a feeling this was going to happen, and there's probably going to be more to come. All right, so on to a brighter note. The NFL draft was this past weekend, and big time, of course, performances by the SEC and the Big Ten, as usual. This is the picks per conference. You had 4 FCS players get drafted. Congrats to those cats. You saw 14 players from the G6 schools. That's, of course, Conference USA, the Sun Belt, the MAC, Pac-12, Mountain West, and the American. They produced only 14 of these players. Now, some of these players who come from the bigger leagues probably started at a G6 school because that's how we are this time in this era. 7 come from the independents. Most of those were Notre Dame, but a couple from UConn. The ACC produced 38 players. The Big Ten, 68, nearly doubling what the ACC and Big 12 did. But the Big Ten was 68, and for, I believe, the 20th straight year, the SEC, of course, leads 87 draft picks, producing the most again, by a very comfortable margin over the Big Ten, as a matter of fact. But had a really good weekend. Congrats to all of them. Fernando Mendoza going to the Raiders, no shock. David Bailey to the Jets, interesting. Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals, maybe a little head scratcher, but just to name a few. Cornell Tate to the Titans. Boy, their fan base there were some pissed off Titans fans. Sonny Styles to Washington, just to name a few of them. All right, and then as far as draft picks by school, here's kind of a quick rundown. You have everybody who had just one player selected. UCF, Boise State, Cal, East Carolina, Memphis, San Diego State, Vanderbilt. That was Eli Stowers. He went to the Eagles. Congratulations to him. UConn, Rutgers, let's see, Miami, Ohio, SMU, Iowa State, Georgia State. I can't remember his name. A really good receiver there. He went to Tampa Bay. Pitt, Middle Tennessee, Minnesota, UL Lafayette, Louisville, Maryland, Nebraska. Uh, I can't remember whose logo is that from the FCS. Oh no, that's the kid from Nigeria. I'm sorry, from the Nigeria. He went to the Eagles too, I believe. New Mexico had a player. Stephen F. Austin had a player. Florida State with only one draft pick. That's crazy. Houston, Buffalo. That was Red Murdoch, I believe. Murdoch, linebacker. He was the very last pick. Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Relevant, I think that's what they call it. He went to the Broncos. I can't remember whose logo that is above Houston. And then as far as the 2 draft picks, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, North Dakota State, Baylor, Kansas, BYU, Kansas State, Toledo, Stanford, NC State, Michigan State, Navy. Pretty cool seeing some Service Academy players get drafted. Eli Heidenreich, receiver, back, went to the Steelers. That was a really emotional, cool video. And Nate Robertson, I believe is his name, D lineman. He went to the Bengals. Wake Forest and Northwestern with 2 picks. Let's see. Programs with 3 draft picks. You have Utah, USC, South Carolina, Illinois, TCU, and Duke. And then go into your left with 4 picks. Both of the Arizona schools. Cincinnati, Arkansas with 4 players. Good job there. Boston College and Kentucky. And then with 5 picks, just Tennessee and Auburn. 6 picks, Notre Dame, Michigan, Texas, Missouri. How about that? Shout out to Elijah Drinkwitz and his program, producing 6 NFL players this year. And then with 7 picks, LSU, Oregon, Florida, Washington, Iowa, and Oklahoma. Good draft for those guys as far as representation. 8 picks, Georgia, Penn State, and the national champion Indiana Hoosiers. What a draft for them. Has Indiana ever produced 8 draft picks in one class? Just curious. I don't think so. But at 9 picks, you had Clemson, Miami, Texas Tech. Great job by Joey McGuire's crew. And, of course, Mario Cristobal and Dabo. And then with 10 draft picks, as far as leading the SEC, Texas A&M, Alabama. No surprise. Great job by those programs developing guys. Mike Elko, Kalen DeBoer. And then finally, all alone with the most draft picks from a single school at 11 picks. Of course, Ohio State. I think they had 4 in the first round. I'd have to run through it, but great draft representation by them. So, congrats to all the players that are off to the NFL. These programs doing a great job developing these kids for the next level. So, that is a little bit of an NFL draft rundown for you. Here's this one last time. Picks by conference, 87 for the SEC, Big Ten at 68, ACC at 38, Big 12 also at 38, so they finished tied there. Independents with 7, G6 14, and the FCS with 4. All right, so let's move on, shall we? We're going to finally get to put a wrap on our conference schedule breakdown, our 2026 schedule breakdown for conferences. We're down to our final 2, the Sun Belt and the Conference USA world, because we had to wait on the Louisiana Tech situation to see if where they were going to be playing this year. But thankfully, that is over with. They reached a settlement, so La Tech is off to the Sun Belt. Let's get started. We're going to start with the Sun Belt. Here is Appalachia State's 2026 schedule. They open up with Maine of the FCS. Then you play East Carolina. That is on the road. One of your regional rivals. Good little rivalry between the Pirates and the Mountaineers. And then another regional foe, Charlotte. That is at home. You go to NC State. Beware, NC State. And then you jump into the Sun Belt play with Old Dominion, who had a really good year last year, 10 wins, but they also got a new quarterback. You'll go to Coastal Carolina. If you follow the Sun Belt really well, you know Coastal and App State's usually a great series every year. JMU at home, that'll be a big one. Trip to Georgia Southern. We know how that rivalry goes back to the FCS days between the Mountaineers and the Eagles. Georgia State at home at Marshall. Another great regional rivalry up there in the Appalachia area. ULM at home, and then they close at South Alabama. I know on here it says November 28th, but that game has actually been set for the 27th, so they will play on Black Friday, the App State South Alabama game. So that's Appalachia State, though. That's a pretty good little Sun Belt schedule. Remember, this is the only conference that still does East and West divisions, also, as a matter of fact. All right, so let's move on and look at Arkansas State and Butch Jones. I think they lost their quarterback, Jalen Renor. I think he went to Iowa State. But anyway, here's what Arkansas State's going to open up with. They open up September 5th with Memphis. I'm trying to see. That is going to be, is that on the road? Yeah, that's at Memphis. Then they'll host West Georgia. A daunting task going to TCU. Then you go to Kennesaw State, who's tremendously gotten better since they've been in Conference USA. You'll head over there. No, wait. You'll go to TCU. You'll host Kennesaw State, I'm sorry. And then you'll go to Louisiana Lafayette. That's a great division rivalry. You'll host South Alabama. You'll go to Hattiesburg to play Southern Miss. And then you'll be home for a couple of weeks with Georgia State and ULM. And then a trip to Coastal Carolina. That's not going to be fun, possibly. And then you've got to go to Louisiana Tech. We're not exactly sure yet. Oh, here it says to be date. Possibly the 20th, 19th, or 21st. But that might be updated. We'll have to just check. And then they close with Troy at home. So that is a look of 2026 for Butch Jones and the Red Wolves. Now, let's head over to the land of the teal turf. We'll head to Coastal Carolina. I love this matchup week 1 for them at West Virginia. We talk about chances for the G6 schools to knock off a Power 4 school. Well, look right there, September 5th. Could the Chanticleers do it? Now, they do have a new coach. There's a lot of new in that program. However, West Virginia's in a rebuild too. Might be a good chance to get them. It's in Morgantown. And then, of course, they host Fordham. They'll go to Delaware. Thursday night game. Check this one. September 24th. Liberty coming in. That is the teal out game where the crowd will be all teal. If you've watched these schools for years, you know Liberty and Coastal Carolina used to play, it seemed like, every year in the FCS. They played in a bowl game. There's usually some good games between those two. And then you'll be at home against Georgia Southern to start your conference play. A big trip to Marshall. Then, of course, we were just talking about this one, App State at home. Your bye week is there. And then you go to Georgia State. Then you got Old Dominion at home. That could be a good game. Who knows? Arkansas State at home. And then you end the season with road trips to UL Lafayette and then at JMU. That's a pretty brutal 2-game stretch there to close out the season in Sun Belt play for the Chanticleers. All right. So we'll move over to Atlanta, and let's look at Georgia State. One of the I don't mean to pick on them here, but one of the lesser known winning programs in the Sun Belt. Georgia State will open up with North Carolina A&T. Then they'll go to Kennesaw State. They'll go to Central Florida. They'll host Northern Illinois. So maybe you can get out of that non-con slate 2-2 if you're fortunate, but we'll see. Then you got Old Dominion at home to start conference play. You got to go to James Madison. Yikes. I got to go to Arkansas State. Yikes. I got Coastal Carolina at home. Yikes. App State on the road. Yikes. Georgia Southern at home. Yikes. Marshall on the road, and then you close at UL Lafayette. So pretty daunting conference slate there for the Panthers of Georgia State. All right. Let's keep it in Georgia, and let's look at Georgia Southern in their 2026 slate. They're going to open up with Charleston Southern at Clemson. Is it just me, or does it seem like Georgia Southern plays Clemson every other year, it seems like? Oh, well. At Clemson, at Jacksonville State. That could be a good G6 collision between Jacksonville State and Georgia Southern. Feels like an FCS playoff game. Then they'll host Houston at home on the 26th. So a Big 12 team coming to a Sun Belt school. That's cool. At Coastal Carolina to start conference play. Great series. JMU at home. At ODU. App State at home. Marshall at home. at Georgia State, at Troy, and then they'll host the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, the Sun Belt's newest member, in their finale. So interesting. And that's Georgia Southern. Moving on, let's look at the beginning of the Billy Napier era at James Madison as he comes over from Florida after he was fired from Florida. He is back in the Sun Belt, or some people like to call him Sun Belt Billy. Look at that first game, September 5th. Liberty coming into JMU. G6 heavyweight fight, maybe? I don't know. They could be two really good teams. I know JMU's got some pieces back. But James Madison against Liberty, maybe an under the radar kind of game for week one. We'll see. And then they'll host Wagner. Then they'll go to San Diego State. Another good G6 non-con matchup. I like this. James Madison at San Diego State. That could be good. Could be good. Then they'll go to Old Dominion to get conference play going. And then you'll play home against rival Marshall. Head to Georgia Southern. Host Georgia State. You'll head to App State. That should be a big one, October 22nd. Then you'll host Troy. Got to go to Hattiesburg November 5th to play Southern Miss. You'll go to UConn for your final non-con game. Late time of year to have a non-con game, but hey, is what it is. And then your bye week, and then you'll host Coastal Carolina in the finale. Kind of interesting. It just dawned on me, because I don't think I've seen this schedule, really looked at it. They play 11 straight games before the finale. That's very interesting. Talk about a tired, beat-up football team. But that's JMU's 26th schedule. All right, let's head down to Louisiana. Let's look at the Raging Cajuns and UL Lafayette. This is how their schedule's going to be. They'll open up with Lamar. Should win that game. Oh, Lord. September 12th. Got to go out to LA to play USC. That's not going to be pretty at all. And then you've got UAB coming in. Very winnable game. At Charlotte, very winnable. They'll start conference play with rival Arkansas State coming down from Jonesboro. Should be a good one. At Louisiana Tech. One thing I love about Louisiana Tech being back in the Sun Belt is the in-state rivalries of Louisiana Lafayette and La Tech, plus La Monroe and La Tech. It's going to be cool seeing those schools play each other every year again. Plus you can throw Southern Miss in there. But at La Tech, that's going to be cool. Then they'll play Troy at home. At Southern Miss, your bye week. You'll have South Alabama at home. Then you'll go down to play your arch nemesis, Louisiana Monroe. And then you got Coastal Carolina at home, and you'll close at Georgia State for the 2026 season. Good schedule, though. All right, let's stay in Louisiana, and let's look at the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. This is their 2026 schedule. They will open up at Mississippi State. Then they will play at UAB, so they will not have a home game until September 19th against Southeast Louisiana. And then they will host FAU, and then they'll start conference play October 3rd, it looks like, at South Alabama. Then you've got Louisiana Tech coming in. Again, it's going to be cool to see those schools playing. At Troy, Southern Miss at home, at Arkansas State. Pretty tough schedule here to close out. Arch nemesis UL Lafayette, at App State, and then they close with Marshall. I don't get that. I thought I had Monroe and Lafayette play at the end of the year. That's what I would do. But anyway, this is what the Warhawks schedule looks like for 2026. Let's move over and take a look at Marshall's 2026 slate for the Thundering Herd. Earbud fell out. All right. So here's Marshall's 2026 slate. They're going to open at Penn State. Yikes. Then you got Middle Tennessee coming in. For those of you who watch G6 or follow it. Middle Tennessee and Marshall used to be a pretty good little series in the Conference USA world. We'll see what happens. They're at Missouri State. Second year of FBS for them. They host Gardner-Webb of the FCS. And then you get conference play rolling at James Madison. Big challenge. Coastal Carolina, South Alabama. Your next two, those are both at home. At Old Dominion, we'll see what they're like. At Georgia Southern, your off week. And then you play App State, big-time rivalry game. Georgia State, and then at Louisiana Monroe to close out the season. and that's Marshall. Let's move over and look at the newbies of the Sun Belt, or the returning school. Louisiana Tech, welcome back to the Sun Belt as they embark on their new journey in a conference they once were in. They will open up with Northwestern State, then they got to go to LSU. Good luck with that. Got to go to Baylor. Good luck with that. Then they'll host Army. Who knows? Conference play gets rolling. You got UL Lafayette coming in. Whoever made the schedule, good call for their first Sun Belt Conference game against the in-state rival. And then you got to go to La Monroe. So you're getting the Louisiana games out of the way early, quick, I see. Old Dominion at home. Okay. Trips to South Alabama and Troy back-to-back weeks in the state of Alabama. And then they'll host Southern Miss and Arkansas State. And then they'll close out at Georgia Southern. So that is a look of the Louisiana Tech schedule as the Bulldogs return to the Sun Belt. All right, here's Old Dominion. Let's see what the Monarchs have for 2026. They are going to open against, let's see, at home. Oh, Norfolk State, school they share town with. So it's crosstown foes. Norfolk State will come in to play them. Okay. At Virginia Tech. Oh, if you look at recent memory, it seems like Old Dominion and Virginia Tech find each other every year. It's kind of interesting, but I hope Old Dominion got them a couple wins they're proud of, because I don't know if they're going to beat them under James Franklin, but we'll see. East Carolina coming in, and then you got your Sun Belt opener with James Madison. Interesting game. That's going to be a big game, I think, in the East Division. Then you've got to head to Georgia State and App State back-to-back weeks. Then you come home and host Georgia Southern. That's actually a Thursday night game, I believe. Then you go to Louisiana Tech, and you host Marshall, a road trip to Coastal Carolina, a non-con game at UConn November 21st, and then November 28th, you'll host Southern Miss at home in the season finale as the Monarchs try to go to back-to-back bowl games and build off of a 10-win season. Here's Southern Miss and their 2026 schedule as we look at the Golden Eagles. They open up with Alcorn State, and then they'll have to go to Auburn. They host UConn. Okay. They'll host UConn, then they'll go to Tulane. Kind of cool to see Tulane play Southern Miss as much as they can. Let's see. Your conference opener is at Troy. Then you'll host Arkansas State and Louisiana Lafayette back-to-back weeks. That'll be big games in the West Division race. At ULM, then another big one with JMU coming in. That's going to be a difficult challenge, but it should be might be a good game. Got to go to Louisiana Tech. It's my understanding, I think the Southern Miss La Tech series used to be called the Battle in Dixie or something. But anyway, there was a name to it. But then they'll go home and host South Alabama, and then they'll close with Old Dominion. All right. Next up, let's take a look at Troy. I think this is our last Sun Belt school, as a matter of fact. No, wait. I'm sorry, South Alabama. Yeah, we got two left. Okay. Here's the South Alabama Jaguars 2026 schedule. It's a little hard to look at. I'm going to zoom in and read it out to you. They'll host Southeast Louisiana. Then they will head to Tulane, host Ohio, and then they're at Kentucky. Good luck there. Then they'll host ULM to start conference play. They'll hit the road to go to Jonesboro. And you got to go to Marshall, so that's a tough little two straight road game stretch. Host La Tech at ULL. Okay. And then you've got Troy at Southern Miss, and then they'll close with Appalachia State on Black Friday. All right, keeping it in the state of Alabama, one last school for the Sun Belt. Here's Troy. Let's see what they have for 2026. They open up with Sam Houston. Okay, so a little Conference USA Sun Belt matchup there between those two. Kind of wish those two would do like a weekend where they play each other in non-con games, see who has the better record. You know, kind of like a challenge. But anyway, Sam Houston comes in to Troy on September 5th, and then Alabama State. Good chance to start 2-0 there for the Trojans, because after that they got to go to Missouri and Utah State, which will be difficult, especially Missouri. Conference play will start with Southern Miss coming in October. I think that's the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really tell from my view. But then they got to go to UL Lafayette. They'll host La Monroe at James Madison. La Tech on November 7th. That's at home. At South Alabama, the Battle for the Belt. If you don't know the Battle of the Belt, that is the Troy South Alabama rivalry trophy that they play for. And then they host Georgia Southern for their senior day, and then they'll close at Arkansas State. So, all right. So that is the Sun Belt schedules. Let's see. And I just noticed we're fixing to jump into Conference USA here. Y'all bear with me. I just recognized I think we might be missing a schedule, but let me look real quick because I don't want to do these schedules and give you the wrong and miss one. That Delaware's okay. Y'all just hang tight for me. Okay, I think we're missing FIU's. Let me try it real quick. I think I might have missed FIU's schedule by accident. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Okay. All right, so that's the Sun Belt schedules. Now let's move to the Conference USA World. We're going to start with New Mexico State. This is what the Aggies are facing in 2026. They play on week 0 at Florida State. Have fun with that. And then they will play Mercyhurst. That is a FCS school. For those who don't know, they're in the Northeast Conference, I believe. Then they will head to Hawaii. They will host. They'll have their first of 2 off weeks because they play on week 0. It sounds like this might be the last year of week 0. Stay tuned. But after that first bye week, you'll come home to host New Mexico in the Rio Grande rivalry, very underrated rivalry in state. Then they host Western Kentucky to start conference play. Got to go trips to FIU and Sam Houston in back-to-back weeks. This is, of course, for those who don't know, in October is when Conference USA plays the midweek games, kind of like we get Maction in November. October is when they do the Conference USA does this. Anyway, after FIU and Sam Houston both on the road, they'll come home to host Jacksonville State. Oh, by the way, their other bye week is between FIU and Sam Houston. But then they get into the month of November, they'll host Liberty at Missouri State, host Delaware, and they will close at Middle Tennessee State. All right. Now let's look at a team that is in their second year in this conference, the Delaware Blue Hens, who won a bowl game last year in their first year in FBS when they won the whichever bowl it is. It's in Mobile, Alabama. I think it's the 68 Ventures Bowl. I think it was. But anyway, Delaware year 2 in FBS. They will kick off with a Thursday night game against Merrimack. They'll go to Vandy. Then they'll host Coastal Carolina and at Virginia. So shout out to Delaware. That is a pretty difficult non-conference schedule. But then you get into Conference USA play. They will start with Liberty. That looks like a Friday night game. Yeah, it's going to be a Friday night game. Then you'll have your bye week. And then you got 3 straight Tuesday night games as part of the October TV package with the midweek games. You're at Middle Tennessee, Missouri State at home, and at Western Kentucky in the month of October. And then you go back to Saturday games at Kennesaw State, FIU at home, at New Mexico State, and then they'll host Jacksonville State to conclude the season. All right. Let's head from Delaware down to South Beach, and let's look at the FIU Panthers, see what they are facing in 2026. Excuse me, I apologize for that. They will start with at South Florida and host Buffalo, so that's a pretty difficult, tough 2 games to start. At Florida Atlantic, and then they host LIU, and then they get into conference play, hosting New Mexico State, at Jacksonville State, hosting Middle Tennessee, at Liberty, they host Missouri State, and then they got road trips to Delaware and Kennesaw State, back to back, and then they'll close with Sam Houston. Can FIU get another bowl trip? We shall see. Remember, they finally got back to a bowl game last season. All right. One of the better programs of recent memory in this conference here is Jacksonville State and their 2026 slate. They have a week 0 game at North Dakota State. Yes, you heard that right. at North Dakota State. The Bison are now FBS, so they will go to Fargo, and then they will come home to host Eastern Kentucky. They will head to Ohio, host Georgia Southern and Middle Tennessee in back-to-back weeks. At Kennesaw State, let's see, 6 days later they host FIU, and they'll take a bye week, and then they'll head to New Mexico State. They will host, I think they have another bye week, I think. But anyway, they'll host Sam Houston. They'll go to Western Kentucky. They'll host Missouri State, and they close with Delaware on the road. All right, so let's look at the reigning Conference USA champions. Here's Kennesaw State's 2026 football slate, getting an early look at them as they defend their title under Coach Jerry Mack and the Owls. So they get two at home to start: West Georgia and Georgia State, very winnable. Got to go to Tennessee, probably a loss. Got to go to Arkansas State. There's a chance at a 3-1 start before their bye week, so might be a good start. We'll see. And then you get into conference play, hosting Jacksonville State and going to Missouri State. Host Liberty, go to Middle Tennessee. If you could go 2-2 in that, and you're 5-3, there's a chance, but we'll see. Delaware at home, at Sam Houston, FIU at home, and at Western Kentucky. Really good program on the rise. We'll see what year two brings. We'll see what this year brings as they defend their conference championship. All right, let's look at Middle Tennessee's schedule. Let's see what the Blue Raiders have. They're going to open up with Murray State, at Marshall, Nevada at home, at Jacksonville State. That starts your conference play. Then they play their last non-con game. Looks like October 3rd at Kansas. Then you go back to conference play, hosting Delaware, at FIU, Kennesaw State, and Western Kentucky. So you get two of the heavy hitters back-to-back weeks coming to Murfreesboro. That's worth noting. Then they'll go to Liberty. Sam Houston also is on the road, and then they'll close at home with New Mexico State. All right, so moving on. A couple more to go here. Let's look at the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, one of the Conference USA's best programs in recent memory. They will open up at Nevada, okay, at Georgia, yikes, at Indiana, yikes. So back-to-back non-con games at Georgia and Indiana. I hope you're getting paid good. Probably are. Mercyhurst at home, at New Mexico State to start your conference slate. And then you got Missouri State at home. And then at Sam Houston and Delaware at home. Good chance for the Hilltoppers to start strong in conference play the first half of the slate. At Middle Tennessee, Jacksonville State, at Liberty, and Kennesaw State at home. So, interesting. After a couple weeks of brutality there in the non-con slate, a chance to build some momentum there for the Hilltoppers. All right, so 3 more to go. Let's look at Liberty. Let's see what Jamie Chadwell's Liberty Flames have for 2026. Kind of already talked about this one looking on JMU's schedule, but Liberty at JMU week 1, possibly an under-the-radar game to watch between two G6 programs that are really strong. They're usually pretty good. Host Gardner-Webb, host Ball State. That's 2 games you should win. Ball State is just bad right now. Gardner-Webb's FCS school. Then the Thursday night game at Coastal Carolina, again, could be a really good G6 matchup. So shout out to the schedule makers in the G6 for giving us Liberty and JMU plus Coastal Carolina and Liberty. Thank you. At Delaware to start your conference play, Sam Houston, 2 very winnable games. At Kennesaw State, that's going to be a big challenge. FIU at home, at New Mexico State. Home trips against Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, and then they close at Missouri State. As the Flames look to get back to the postseason, as y'all know, Liberty was bad last year, 4-8, very un-Liberty-like. All right, 2 more to go. Let's look at the Missouri State Bears, who are in their second year of Conference USA, made a bowl game last year. New head coach too. They open up at Texas A&M. Oh dear Lord, that ain't gonna be pretty. And then you got Lindenwood, should be 1-1. Marshall, who knows what Marshall's gonna be like, but maybe. At SMU, that's probably not gonna be fun. And then you get into conference play opening at Western Kentucky and Kennesaw State. So that's a tough 2-week stretch to kick your season off. At Delaware, they've gotten better. At Sam Houston, that's a home game. We'll see. At FIU, that could be a good challenge. New Mexico State, at Jacksonville State, and Liberty. So that is what year 2 in Conference USA brings the Liberty Flames. All right, last schedule, and we are done with schedule talk until August at least. Here is a look at the Sam Houston State Bearcats. Could not find a graphic with their whole schedule. I had one with their updated conference schedule, but I just want to do the whole schedule in one. So here you go. This is Sam Houston State. We already talked about it a little bit at Troy. Maybe good game. We'll see. Tulsa coming in on November 12th. Chance to beat an American school. We'll see. Nichols and at Texas Tech. That ain't going to be pretty. And then you got your bye week, the first week of October. And then their conference slate will start with at Liberty and Western Kentucky. Hello. New Mexico State at home, at Missouri State, at Jacksonville State. And then you got a couple of home games with Kennesaw State and Middle Tennessee before closing out at FIU. So, yeah, that's it. We have completed our 2026 early look of schedules at everybody across all the conferences plus your 2 independents. And next time we do that, probably going to be August. All right, so let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to debut a new series here. It's called Looking Back, where we look back for fun at a college football season. And we're going to look back at the 1987 season, the year I was born. So we will see y'all here in just a second.
Look at me, you're lost at sea, circling eternally. Come and help me from this insanity. Where am I disgrace? I hate to see your face. I wanna see you drown in your sorrow. You know I know I'm not the same. I'm fading away. I'm falling into my grave.
All right. Let's see here. All right, why ain't you loading? All right, here we go. Sorry about that. All right. So for the last several weeks, we've been doing a looking back series where we've been talking about defunct college football programs that are gone. Well, we've decided to move on to a new series starting this week. Just for fun. I like looking back on the old days and some of the cool stuff and just seeing what happened in the sports past. So starting this week, we're going to do a season look back, if you will. We just call it the year in review. We're going to look at 1987, the year that I was born. So, real simple. Let's get rolling, shall we? 1987, the college football season, which ended with the Miami Hurricanes winning the national championship. What was the preseason top 10? This is what it was in 1987. You had the AP poll and the coaches poll. That's what I decided to put on here. AP top 10. You had Miami at 10. Clemson was 9. Florida State was 8. Michigan was 7. LSU was 6. Auburn was 5th. Ohio State was 4th. UCLA. Holy crap. This was a different time. UCLA 3rd. Nebraska 2. Yep, different time. Oklahoma 1. Coaches Bowl. A little different. You had a tie for 10th, actually, between LSU and Texas A&M. So we had 2 teams in 10th. Miami was 9th. Arizona State with a top 10 preseason ranking. Penn State 7, Michigan 6, Auburn 5th, UCLA 4, Ohio State 3, Nebraska 2, Oklahoma at 1. So the anonymous agreement was Oklahoma and Nebraska, obviously, for 1 and 2 to start the season, as we can tell. All right, so here's just some season notes as we look back on this. Let's see, Akron became a Division 1A program. They were an independent to start before they would later join the MAC. Wichita State dropped football after 1986, so sadly this was the first year that they did not have a program. SMU did not field a team this season. As you remember, this was part of the famous death penalty that they were served for all the stuff that they were doing illegally and paying players and all that crap back in the day. So SMU was in the middle of their death penalty sentence, so they did not play. Notre Dame receiver Tim Brown would go on to win the Heisman Trophy. Really good football player. Went on to play for the Raiders for a long time. Did a great job there. Some other awards that were ended up being given out at the end of that season. Don McPherson, quarterback at Syracuse, was the winner of the Maxwell Award for the best player. Man, this was a long time ago here in Syracuse like this. The Walter Camp Award that went to, I think it was best player, Tim Brown, Notre Dame. McPherson won the Davey O'Brien Award for quarterback. There was no Rockby Award. The Lombardi Award, which goes to the best linebacker, was Chris Spielman at Ohio State that year. And also the Outland Trophy for best interior lineman went to Chad Hennings of Air Force. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that was some of your awards winners. Now, let's take a look at kind of a rundown of the season. We're going to start with September. Let me find it. There we go. So, the preseason AP poll ranked Big 8 rivals Oklahoma and Nebraska 1 and 2, UCLA 3, Ohio State 4, and Auburn 5th. So, just to kind of give you a quick rundown of what went down throughout the year, starting on September 5th. Number 1, Oklahoma destroyed North Texas 69-14. Number 2, Nebraska beat Utah State 56-12. UCLA beat San Diego State 47-14. Ohio State did not play. And Auburn was number 5, just pummeled Texas 31-3 and moved up in the poll. So the top 5 after this week, not much change, but it was Oklahoma, Nebraska, UCLA, Auburn, and Ohio State. September 12th, Oklahoma played North Carolina that day and shut them out 28-0. In a battle of top 3 teams, we had number 2 Nebraska hosting number 3 UCLA, who won Nebraska. And they won a high-scoring game, 42-33. Number 4 Auburn blanked Kansas 49-0. Number 5 Ohio State kicked off their season beating West Virginia 24-3. Number 6 LSU, who had beat number 15 A&M the week before, beat Cal State Fullerton, who still had football at this time, 56-12. Oh, okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. September 12th. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Number 4 Texas was no. Wait. Okay. Number 6 LSU, who beat number 15 A&M, and their opener beat Cal State Fullerton 56-12. So the new poll was Oklahoma 1, Nebraska 2, Auburn 3, LSU 4, and Ohio State was number 5 in the poll. All right. So continuing on, September 19th. Number 1, Oklahoma. Number 2, Nebraska. And number 3, Auburn were all off. So it was pretty quiet at the top of the heat. LSU was number 4, clobbered Rice 49-16. Number 5, Ohio State were going to beat Oregon 24-14, but fell out of the top 5. They were replaced by number 6, Miami, who was idle this week, but it started the year with an impressive blowout win over number 20, Florida, who they beat 31-4. Wow, 31-4. Okay. So the top 5 after that week was Oklahoma, Nebraska, Auburn, LSU, and Miami. Moving to the final week of September, September 26th, Oklahoma, number 1 team, pitched another shutout, beating Tulsa 65-0. Holy crap. Number 2, Nebraska would go on to Tempe to visit number 12, Arizona State. So another ranked versus ranked game, but Nebraska would win at 35-28. Number 3, Auburn played number 11, Tennessee, and sadly it ended in a 20-20 tie. I'm sorry, I hate ties. Number 4, LSU had the same result as they threw 3 fourth-quarter picks, which allowed number 7, Ohio State, to come away with a 13-13 draw. So had a top 10 game between LSU and Ohio State that week. Number 5, Miami crushed number 10, Arkansas, 51-7. Number 6, Florida State won at Michigan State, 31-3. Number 8, Notre Dame was a winner over Purdue, 44-20. So the top 5 would now be Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, Florida State, and Notre Dame. So no SEC teams. All right. Moving on into the month of October. Bear with me. These photos are out of sync. Okay. Here we go. October. Apologies for that. October 3rd, number 1 Oklahoma crushed Iowa State 56-3 in conference play. Number 2 Nebraska beat South Carolina 30-21 in a huge matchup. Number 3 Miami, number 4 Florida State squared off in a game that would feature 63 future NFL players. That's crazy. Florida State led 19-3 late in the third, but the Hurricanes would respond with 23 unanswered points to take a 7-point lead. Florida State scored a touchdown with 42 seconds left. Coach Bobby Bowden sent his kicker for a game-tying extra point, but changed his mind at the last moment and went for 2. And quarterback Danny McManus' pass was deflected, incomplete. Miami would win the game 26-25. Number 5 Notre Dame was off. Number 6 Auburn bounced back with a 20-10 win over North Carolina. So the new poll was Oklahoma. The top 5 was Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, Notre Dame, and Auburn. All right, let's go and look at October. Moving on to October the 10th. Number 1 Oklahoma held their opponent without a touchdown for the 4th game in a row, limiting Texas in the Red River Shootout to 3 field goals in a 44-9 victory. Number 2 Nebraska was dominant, beating Kansas 54-2. Number 3 Miami crushed Maryland 46-16. Number 4 Notre Dame was upset though as they lost at Pittsburgh 30-22. Number 5 Auburn crushed Vanderbilt 48-15. Number 6 Florida State went to Southern Miss and won 61-10. Yes, they went to Hattiesburg back in those days. And the top 5 after that day was Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, Florida State, and Auburn. October 17th, Oklahoma continued rolling as they beat Kansas State 59-10. Nebraska shut out Oklahoma State 35-0, who was number 12, so it was a top 12 showdown. Number 3 Miami was off. Number 4 Florida State beat Louisville 32-9. Number 5 Auburn won at Georgia Tech 20-10, but the AP voters were more impressed with LSU, who was number 6, who beat Kentucky 34-9, and the teams switched spots. So your new top 5 was Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, Florida State, and LSU had returned. All right, keeping it on rolling as we head into the final stretch of October. October 24th. Number 1 Oklahoma beat Colorado 24-6. Number 2 Nebraska dominated Kansas State 56-3. Number 3 Miami won at Cincinnati 48-10. And number 4 Florida State, number 5 LSU are off, so the top 5 remain the same. And then the final week of October, all the highly ranked teams registered blowout wins this week. Number 1 Oklahoma crushed Kansas 71-10. Good God. Number 2 Nebraska won at Missouri 42-7. Number 3 Miami pummeled East Carolina 41-3. Number 4 Florida State beat Tulane easily 73-14. And number 5 LSU beat Ole Miss 42-13. So the top 5 did not change and remain the same. All right, let's go on to November 7th as we roll into the month of November. Number 1 Oklahoma hosted number 12 Oklahoma State, won 29-10. But quarterback Jamel Holloway was lost for the year as he tore his ACL. So Oklahoma, despite the win over Oklahoma State, paid the price. And fullback Liddell Carr also suffered a knee injury. Number 2 Nebraska would go on to overwhelm Iowa State 42-3. The name was the only similarity between number 3 Miami and unranked Miami, Ohio, as the Hurricanes crushed the Redskins 54-3. This is back when Miami, Ohio was still called the Redskins. Number 4 Florida State would visit number 6 Auburn in a huge game, but they breezed to a 34-6 win. Number 5 LSU would lose to number 13 Alabama 22-10. Number 7 UCLA, whose only loss was to Nebraska, won at Oregon State 52-17. So the top 5 was now Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, Florida State, and UCLA. November 14th, without Holloway and Carr, number one Oklahoma struggled to a 17-13 win over Missouri, so they had to earn it with the new quarterback and new fullback. Number two, Nebraska, who defeated Missouri by 35 points a week earlier, was off. Number three, Miami beat Virginia Tech 27-13. Number four, Florida State would beat Furman 41-10. Number five, UCLA beat Washington 47-14. So the top two swapped spots. It was now Nebraska number one, Oklahoma 2, Miami was 3rd, Florida State 4, and UCLA was number 5. November 21st, getting close to Thanksgiving, and what was effectively a semifinal for the national championship. Number 1, Nebraska, and number 2, Oklahoma would collide for the Big 8 title and a berth in the Orange Bowl. Despite the injuries, Oklahoma finished the regular season undefeated as they would win this game 17-7, low scoring. Their fourth win in as many years over the Cornhuskers, so it was 4 straight in 4 years. Number 3, Miami would beat Toledo 24-14. Number 4, Florida State was off. Number 5, UCLA needed only a win over unranked USC to win the Pac-10. However, as you see, USC pulled off a big upset, 17-13, sending the Trojans to the Rose Bowl. Their opponent would be Michigan State, who already clinched the Big Ten championship. Number 6, Syracuse. That's right, Syracuse was a top 10 team this year. Won a thriller against West Virginia, triumphing 32-31 on a 2-point conversion with 10 seconds left to finish the regular season undefeated. So the new top 5, Oklahoma, Miami, Florida State, Syracuse, and Nebraska. I'm old enough to remember when Syracuse was actually not bad in football, briefly. All right, final week in November. Here we go. November 26th through the 28th. This was Thanksgiving week. Number 1, Oklahoma, and number 4, Syracuse had finished their seasons. Number 2, Miami would shut out Notre Dame, who was number 10, 24-0. Number 3, Florida State beat arch rival Florida, 28-14. Number 5, Nebraska beat Colorado, 24-7, and that used to be a rivalry game. Let's see, I got off track there. The last few bowl tie-ins were decided that week. Number 7, Auburn shut out number 18, Alabama, 10-0 in the Iron Bowl to give Auburn the SEC title and a spot in the Sugar Bowl. Number 15, Texas A&M would go on to win the Southwest Conference and a spot in the Cotton Bowl after they beat arch rival Texas 20-13. And the top 5 remained the same in the poll. All right, December 5th. Number 2, Miami would end their season with a 20-16 win over South Carolina. The other top-ranked teams had already finished their schedules, and the top 5 remained the same. So with both teams 11-0, the Orange Bowl would be number 1, Oklahoma, number 2, Miami for the national championship. Over the past 3 years, the Sooners were 0-2 against the Canes and 33-0 against everybody else, and they would have an opportunity for revenge in this game. All right. So the Sugar Bowl, Auburn would go to the Sugar Bowl. Number 3, Florida State. Number 5, Nebraska, whose only losses were to Miami and Oklahoma, respectively, would be in the Fiesta Bowl. The Rose Bowl would be Michigan State, USC, and Notre Dame would play Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. So notable rivalry games that year. Michigan State beat Michigan 17-11. You see South Carolina pummeled Clemson 20-7. Auburn beat Bama 10-0. We had a tie in the Kansas State game, 17-17. LSU Tulane was a shootout that year, as I can see, 41-36 LSU. Oklahoma, Nebraska was 17-7. Man, I wish they still played every year. Of course, we already talked about it. Miami beating Florida State 26-25 in a classic. USC UCLA 17-13. The Trojans winning that one. Pitt beat Penn State 10-0 for that old rivalry. Texas and Arkansas, which is so good to see it back. Texas won 16-14. And Arizona State and Arizona ended in a 24-24 tie. All right. Moving on. Let's take a look at let's see. Okay. Let's get into the post. I'll tell you what, let's get into the postseason. We're going to start with the other bowls and lead our way to the big bowls. So Michigan beat Alabama that year in the Hall of Fame Bowl, 28-24. LSU beat South Carolina 30-13 in the Gator Bowl. South Carolina was an independent, by the way, in case anyone was curious this season. The Sun Bowl saw Oklahoma State beat West Virginia 35-33. Iowa beat Wyoming 20-19 in the Holiday Bowl. Arizona State beat Air Force in the Freedom Bowl 33-28. Tennessee would beat Indiana in the Peach Bowl 27-22. Virginia and BYU met in the All-American Bowl. Virginia would be victorious 22-16. Just up the road from me here in Memphis to the Liberty Bowl, Georgia would beat Arkansas 20-17. The Aloha Bowl in Hawaii, UCLA beat Air Force 20. I mean not Air Force. UCLA beat Florida 20-16. Independence Bowl saw Washington beat Tulane 24-12. The California Bowl, this was Eastern Michigan beating San Jose 30-27. That would be Eastern Michigan's final bowl for like 30-something years. And then finally the Blue Bonnet Bowl, which was played in the Astrodome. Texas beat Pitt 32-27. And then moving over to the New Year's Day big time bowl games back in the day. The Citrus Bowl saw Clemson beat Penn State 35-10. And then as far as the Big Five, the Cotton Bowl, Texas A&M was shut down Notre Dame 35-10. Michigan State would beat USC in a good Rose Bowl 20-17. The Sugar Bowl, oh boy, Auburn and Syracuse ended in a 16-16 tie. Auburn kicks a field goal in the fourth quarter to tie the game, and yeah, why would you tie this game? I never understand that. Whoever made that call, I hope he caught crap for it. It was a Sugar Bowl, man. You don't want to play for no tie. Go for the win. But anyway, it is what it is. Fiesta Bowl, Florida State beat Nebraska in a good one, 31-28. And then as you see right there at the top, the national championship, number 2 Miami would end number 1 Oklahoma's undefeated season, 20-14, giving the Canes the national championship. Here is a picture of that team visiting President Ronald Reagan at the White House, presenting him with a jersey as to commemorate their title. Pretty cool. All right. Let's see. So we're gonna do, let's see, final polls. Here is the final AP top 20. Miami finished number 1. Florida State, Oklahoma, Syracuse, LSU was your top 5. 6 through 10 was Nebraska, Auburn, Michigan State, UCLA, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, Clemson, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina. That was your top 15. 16 through 20 was Iowa, Notre Dame, USC, Michigan, Arizona State. And then the final coaches poll, not a lot of difference, but top 5, Miami, Florida State, Oklahoma, Syracuse, LSU, 6 through 10, Nebraska, Auburn, Michigan State, Texas A&M, and Clemson was 6 through 10. 11 through 20, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Iowa, USC, Michigan, Texas, and Indiana. Back when we all just completely thought Indiana was a doormat. All right, here's who all won their conferences. Clemson was the ACC champion. Oklahoma was the Big 8 champion. Michigan State was the Big 10 champion. Eastern Michigan was the MAC champion. Holy crap. That PCAA was the Pacific Coast Athletic Association. San Jose State was the champion. We had co-Pac-10 champs, USC and UCLA. Of course, USC went on to the Rose Bowl, like we just said. Auburn was the SEC champion. Texas A&M was the Southwest Conference champion. Sure missed that conference. And Wyoming was the WAC champion. They had a really good year with a 10-win season. As far as independents go, Miami led the way, of course, 12-0 national champions. Syracuse, a great year, 11-0-1 as an independent. Florida State, 11-1. And some 8-4 teams for giving some shout-outs to that were independents in the day. South Carolina, Pitt, Penn State, and Notre Dame. All right, one final thing. This season saw a lot of 1AA schools upsetting 1A schools, or as we call it today, FCS over FBS. Here we go. We'll show them real quick. If I could get them right. All right. Austin Peay beat Kansas State that year. Holy Cross beat Army. Western Michigan beat Illinois State, which at that time Western Michigan was 1AA. I think Illinois State was 1A. Lamar beat Northern Illinois. William and Mary beat Navy. That's crazy. Youngstown State beat Bowling Green that year. Lehigh beat Navy. La Tech beat Kansas. La Tech was 1AA. Marshall beat Louisville. Colgate beat Army. Delaware State beat Akron. And probably the biggest head scratcher of this group was East Tennessee State beating NC State. Cincinnati losing to Indiana State. Northeast Louisiana beat Southern Miss. Northern Arizona beat Tulsa. Youngstown beat Akron. And Indiana State beat Ball State. And here's a couple of quick pictures for you from that season. That looks like a Notre Dame Penn State game. Pretty cool to look back on this. This was, I think, Illinois Arizona State game. And then this is from UC Santa Barbara when they had football in 1987. So, some cool graphics. All right, so let's put a final wrap on this. Let's do real quick. Do this real quick. Let's do favorite John Michael Montgomery songs, and we're gonna get ready to get out of here. All right. So here are we've been doing for our non-football segment favorite country singers. This is my top 10 John Michael Montgomery songs, who retired, by the way, in 2025. Sold, the Grundy County Auction Incident is right there at number 9. Be My Baby Tonight at number 10. Rope the Moon, number 8, really good song. The Little Girl, that song, pulls on your heartstrings. I Love You Like That. Love the Way You Love Me, great songs. Letters from Home, really good song. Thinks about the military. Home to You, that's a good one. Life's a Dance, great message there. And of course, number 1, I Swear, great wedding song. Great song in general. Phenomenal. John Michael Montgomery, great talent, retired recently, but he gets the nod for I Swear at number 1. Just have to get out of here. I know we're going to run out of time. I Swear finishes my number 1 John Michael Montgomery song. Here's the list for you one more time. We've been doing different singers in the country world for several weeks now. All right. So, real quick. All right, guys. So that is a wrap on all of our main topics. Appreciate everybody checking me out today. This is the longest I've ever went. I knew it was going to be a big show, though. Appreciate all y'all double-digit viewers again for the week. That's awesome. No show next week. I'm not going to do a show next week. I'm taking the week off, but I'm also going to get to work on a post-spring edition of 4th and 25 where we will recap several team springs, maybe just a little nugget or something about each of them and talk about that a little bit. And then I'm going to give you my very first ever post-spring top 25. I don't normally do top 25s until August, but I'm going to do one just for fun. Thank you again to Villain Media Network, Andrew Anderson, for recruiting me and bringing me onto this group. Shout out to Terry Walker. I was on his page. I think this is on his page. He has the Golden Broom podcast. It's a college baseball centric thing. Wonderful show. He had a great interview with Hawaii's coach on it. We're in the heart of college baseball season right now. So if you like college baseball, check him out. Thank you to Brandon Oj. Hope I said his name right. Football Frame of Mind. He's got a big show coming up Sunday night. Interview with Michigan Tech coach Dan Metlack. I hope I said his name right. I apologize if I didn't. But he's the head coach up at Michigan Tech. So good show, Football Frame of Mind. They both do a great job with these shows. This is a great network. And, of course, Andrew and his guys, College Sports Villains show every Thursday night. I'm assuming they'll be on tonight. Check them out. As always, we like to close with a Bible verse. We're going to close with Acts 10, verse 43. To him give all the prophets witness that through his name whosoever believeth in him shall receive remission of his sins. Believe in him. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Lord above. He's blessed me with a lot. He is the ultimate. Jesus is the only way. And I'm so thankful for him. His love's amazing. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for checking me out. Great show. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with our post-spring episode on I want to say, let me make sure I give you the right date. That is going to be May 14th. Yes, I will be back on Thursday, May 14th with my next episode. Appreciate you guys again. Thank y'all so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.